You can hear me clearly. Okay, perfect.
So, Panay on Facebook, New Gambia platform.
I am the moderator, Mumudu Sawane, and I have Habib Bari on my right. Habib is our panelist today, and I have Chek Sane below Habib. He's also a panelist, and I have Basiru Sawane also below me is also a panelist. So today we're gonna be discussing about some of the burning issues related to civic education, whereby we're gonna sensitize our folks about their civic rights and what are the solutions to our problems. This is non-partisan platform whereby we discuss ideas and educate one another for the betterment of our country. We don't personally attack any individual. We believe that it's a collective responsibility to to work and then make sure our country gets better situations there. At the end of the day, we are all part of it, and we all going to be part of this solution. So let's respectfully express our opinion, and also be mindful that you know we are the only one who is going to do it for us. I mean, we can't have anybody outside. um, right now in New Gambia, people are optimistic that change is here, so we just have to do a little more on our end to make sure that we make our dream comes true. Whatever we do, we are not doing it for any individual, and we cannot sit on the fence and say, okay, I don't agree with this particular thing going on or with this particular political party, so I'm not going to do anything. That's going to make the situation worse, because at the end of the day, when are you going to be agreeing? When are you going to be having um, a party or having something that you're going to say, I agree with this, that's why I'm going to do this for my country. So we have to be sensitive about that. Let's all collectively do whatever we can, and also individually on our end, to make Gambia great. So with that, our first topic on our list is some of the things that challenging facing the National Development Plan. That's our first list. As we note, few weeks ago, it has been put on social media that the administration is actually facing some problems. They admit that the National Development Plan is facing some challenges. So we can analyze this, and to the best of our knowledge, what this National Development Plan is about, and what do we understand need to be done to help us, the Gambians, move forward. And then what are we looking at this? What do we know? What is going wrong or what is going right? Again, this is not against any individual person or particular group, but this is about Gambia. So I will start that. You know, if you can come along, check as our first participant, and then we can go to Habib. I'm not sure but what happened to Basiru, but you can go ahead.
All right, thank you very much for having me on this platform. I am very grateful, to be part of the discussion.
Yeah, can you hear us? Check.
In regards to moving our country forward, and I'm sure we will have a very good deliberation in regards to how to say we are the cream of this nation, and if we, the better we'll have solutions to move forward. And I commend the idea from the initiator who created this group, for us to have dialogue, in trying to save the future of our country. And I thank all the audience who are on the platform watching us live and direct for taking time from their busy schedule to sit here and listen to us. And I'm very grateful to be part of the discussion.
Yeah, thank you. So Chuck, you can go ahead with the National Development Plan. I mean, you heard what transpired a few weeks ago. that papers were saying that the administration is actually facing some challenges when it comes to that.
Yeah,
What is your knowledge about that, and what do you think need to be done?
yeah. For me, it was very disappointing when I had the news that the target that the government have in regards to the national development plan has their agenda 2021. Is confronting with some challenges when it comes to funding the projects. For me, it has ever been my position that the development of this country should not rely on donors outside the country. Because somebody who feeds you controls you, and and anytime he feel like he cannot do it, that means that your plans or your agenda will definitely fail. And this is what we are facing right now, because we solely rely on donors to make our national development plan something fruitful or something that can be workable. And we all know the fact that Gambia doesn't lack the natural resources or the money if it is utilized in a proper manner, to sponsor or to fund our own agendas. And the coalition should understand the actual fact in this country, and not to solely rely on these donors. Uh, Outsiders, to fund our national development plan. For me, that's ever been my position, because these people, all they are sponsored or funds, goes with, some conditions, and you must fulfill those conditions before they will give you any helping hand, in trying to help you to achieve some of your agendas. And they look at the good governance, how you are transparent, how do you manage your resources. So they look at all those things, and if it doesn't qualify those things, automatically they will tell you that we can't fund it. And maybe some other issues, that's why they said the fund is no more there, because we had them when they implement the plan. They said they have the support or the backing of other donors that they are ready to help. Why did they back out at the last minute? Then that should be interrogated, and they should tell us why. But they didn't tell us. They just said that they are having a funding problem. Why are they having a funding problem? It's an issue here, and they must be clear about the information so that we will know, how to help or how to address the issue. But for me, I have no doubt, the mining that are taking place in Bado, Kunkusanya, and Katong, this doesn't reflect in the national budget. And in the president's speech just recently, he didn't tell us how much was mined in Barokungo. Our black sand is being transported outside here. The timbers are transported outside here. Our fishing agreement, it doesn't reflect in our budget, neither in the president's address to the nation. So the money is here. Let them tell us why it is the money, and they could have used that money, to implement the national development plan. So for me, the issue of funding should not be a problem, because we have the money here. Because we have seen our resources have been transported outside, and we know how much it costs outside. The black sand only is huge amount of money. Talk less of the timber that has been transported. Just last week, the Minister of Forestry and Environment told us that 48 containers are leaving this country with our timbers, to other countries. But they don't just come and pick the timbers. They pay something to get the timbers. So the money is here, and this is not reflecting in our budget, neither in, because the budget speak, there is no portion that will say that this is what is generated from the timber, or this is what is generated from the mining that is taking place here. This is not, they will not tell you that this is what is generated from the fishing agreement that we have. So the money is here, unless we know where those monies are being put. For us, we could have diverted it if they know that definitely this is their agenda. And this is what they want for the Gambia. Because if you look at the document, you will be convinced that this document, is in the right direction, has the writing, it's a beautiful words are there, beautiful plans are there. So if you definitely you are ready and you are true to the document, you could have diverted, you could have sources, rely on donors, to come and save us in scenarios like this. And if we didn't move from that trajectory, we will always have this type of problem all the time. Government should not solely rely on donors for the development of this country.
Okay, thank you, Chess, for that. Very very good insight. Now, Mr. Sawane, are you with us? Mr. Sawane. Hello? Is Abib with us now? Abib also, we lost Abib. Okay. So you mentioned a very important point here, Check Sane. Thank you for that. The mining that is taking place, and also like what happened to the money that was initially pledged. Um, I know, like the National Development Plan. The president went to Europe, I believe in is it Belgium, or they had a summit with the Europeans to help,
Brussels.
Brussels, yeah, to help finance some of these ideas about the National Development Plan. Now, the pledges were made, but we don't know the how far are those pledges. Are they still in place, or have they been withdrawn? We haven't been knowledgeable about that. The recent publication by United States that Gambia is not physically transparent. I believe that is a very damaging piece because US has a lot of voice, and if they can even frame you in a certain way, it will cause a lot of flags, red flags. Especially people who are interested in good governance, people who want to invest in a country because they believe that the investment is going to go to the right people, they're going to assist the right people. So if there is no physical transparency, then those people will hold back. And I know how some of this government works in the Western world. They really want to see where their money is going to. They have this obligation because they are into like tax exempted status, so they usually give money so that they can get tax break instead of like donating you check 5 million to make your life better, and they will not get tax break from that. They better do it as a charity, to a charitable organization, so that whatever they spend, that 5 million, they will get a huge tax break. It's like kind of saving money. So that's why these people, they look into organizations or countries that have the integrity to use those funds to help the poor people. So this is why some of these pledges, people are pledging some of this money just to go to the right people. Now, if you have been framed by a superpower like United States that your country is physically not transparent, then that will create a cloud among the donors. When the day that I saw that on the news, I was really, really saddened because I feel like the opportunity for Gambia is slimming down. Now we can say, oh, who is US? I mean, let them mind their business. When I post it on Facebook, some people will say, let them take care of their problems. But it's not about that. You know, it's not about them taking care of their problem. It's the damage that that particular statement is gonna do to our chances of growth, our chances of believing in people believing in us, that there is democracy, there is rule of law, there is transparency, and that the money invested in this small tiny West African country is going to the right people. So that's why you know I personally am very much worried about the situation in the Gambia, because once there is massive corruption that is out there, and once there is no physical transparency, there is less likely that there will be hope for our future. And the government and the people of the Gambia need to know this. So I am very much also what I just heard from you, saying that there are some timbers and some mining that are not accounted for. Nobody knows where those monies are going. That is also a shocking news, because if those things are being mined and they are not accounted for, the right taxes are not being paid on them, what is going to happen is it will also undermine public confidence on leadership, and also the way the government is working, because it is it is the role of the government to make sure that they put in place a regulation to make sure that they close the loopholes for some of these tax invasion or some of these issues not to take place. These bad practices like corruptions and things not be accounted for. So if the government is doing their job, there should be those timbers and those minings should be they should be accounted for, and then people should know how much revenue are coming out of them. So I'm not gonna go further, but I just wanna add that to what you said. Check, and we can allow Habib, if Habib is online, he can come in on this particular issue of physical. I mean, of this like
Okay.
a national development plan that they saying, folks are saying definitely they don't have even the government, they are facing challenges. Habib, do you have anything to say?
When it comes to the NDC, it wasn't necessary though, because when we are aspiring for the change, the NDP wasn't part of the change agenda. So if at all, they saying like there are no funds for the NDP, obviously, they work towards it. So it's a field that they created for themselves because they were not assigned for it. The change was for a transition. So if at all that transitional agenda was maintained, then obviously today they won't be sitting and saying like, there is no fund for the NDP. It wasn't part of the change agenda. But the culture of corruption within our system, we don't need funds. We Venezuela, we don't need funds. But there are certain, lapses. The moment we close them, to be honest with you, I don't think it will be necessary to go for loans or grants to do certain things in the country. But the level of, corruption in the system is too high. People are not occupying the offices because they want to represent, the masses. They are occupying the offices because they want to represent themselves, only to enrich themselves. They don't care about others. Because some of them, if they show you like the properties that they own now, and just like 2 years or 3 years ago, their situation, then obviously these people, they are ripping this place for their own personal interest, but not for they are not working for the nation. But there is something that we need to blame ourselves, because we need to blame ourselves because we know actually about the change. So if at all we didn't achieve, or we are not achieving what we were working for the change, then obviously we need to take a stand towards it. But at the State House, we can just see him as an acting president. But obviously, what we need as a head of state, to be honest with you, the sense are not the same.
Okay. Thank you so much, Habib. I don't know, Mr. Sawane, are you on board with us? Can you speak? It looks like he's watching, but he's driving. And check, we have lost check on the screen. So what I'm trying to add up to that is that you are saying that you believe, Habib, are you with us?
Yeah.
So you are saying that the the NDP National Development Plan shouldn't even be an issue with this transitional government.
Yeah.
So in other words, that was being caved in as a tool for the government to proceed with the agenda of extending their mandate.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's
that's why you think it's failing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought like that. It's something educative to me. We all, when this whole thing started, we all jump and say, hey, national development plan, we want development. But what Habib is putting out here, and folks, you have to really, that's why we need to use our brains, because the politicians, they are very smart. They see what their aim is, but probably we don't know. If we don't discuss with them, we cannot tell. And these folks, they spend their livelihood, they want to spend it on this public office, not for the interest, like for the interest of the citizen, but for the interest of their pocket. Listen, I always say this: if you want to make money, is a lot of avenues. It doesn't have to be pilot. And we Africans, we want a cheap way out. Go and educate yourself and work. Do some frugal businesses. Okay, a lot of people are having money today. They haven't even been in school. So don't use the public office to enrich yourself. That is like you are taking people's sweat, because you are not entitled to those fundings. You are not entitled to those monies. You are taking people to pocket in your to fatten your pocket in the expense of the citizen by not telling them the truth. So the politicians need to know, if you want to make money, go make your money before you even come to politics.
Politics.
So I kind of understand the NDP. When I had it, Abib, it looks like you are reading my mind. I'm like, this is an addition to coalition agenda. I thought about that, but I said, you know what? Let's give it a try. I mean, these 3 years, if any development come through, it comes through. But you see how God works. What had happened is that NDP was programmed as a way out to give this administration a task to prolong the mandated 3 years stay. All Gambians should know that it is a tactical move to say that, I'm working on something, I don't finish it, give me a chance to work on it more. So I need 5 years instead of 3 years. So
this was the reason why they created the
this is what Habib is saying, and I kind of agree with him. I don't know if you guys do, but it makes sense. But anyway, check. So you were out for a little bit, but this is what Habib put up that point there. He said that he doesn't even believe in national development plan because of the fact that it was created as as a way out to prolong the 3 years to 5 years, to say, oh, we have something to work on. Hey guys, give us a chance. We want to leave legacy behind. We don't want somebody else to come and then start from scratch.
Yeah.
But then when the coalition was drafted, it was only focused on reforms. It didn't say anything like we have to have a development agenda. We say reform. Actually, there's nothing better development than reforms. That's all Gambia need right now. And then people's trying to create incentive and way for people to start to develop themselves, to create jobs and stuff like that. But once the reform is in place, everything will start kicking. So what do you think?
Yeah, actually, I had, before I will drop, I heard him what he was saying, that, this was not actually even something that was in the agenda of the coalition, and I cannot agree more on what he said.
Yeah, we are not
Hello,
hearing.
are you getting me now?
Yeah, we're getting you now. We're getting you now. Yeah.
Yeah. The coalition was not just meant for its sake. There was a thought process about how to run the transitional period of 3 years, and all the agendas were there. How we could. This one just came in because Barrow wanna prolong his stay in power, and he feel like, what can I do, to sell the government people? And he came with an agenda, what we call, the National Development Plan for 2021. When actually the transition should end in 2019. So for him, it was a calculative move. This was never part of the agenda of the coalition. So automatically, if you build your plans and everything, and you bring in something that is not the initial plan of your coalition, automatically it will create problems. And this is what they are facing right now, because it was not something that was planned for when they were setting the whole coalition agenda. So, and as you earlier said in your issue, when he brought it, the donors will not just come and give you the money. There are so many things that they will look into. And I made that very clear to you earlier, that, they don't just give you the funds. So they will look at some of the issues. And the pledges that were made in Brussels, I had the AU ambassador on Fatu Networks saying that, it's not 100% just grant. 50% is a loan and 50% is a grant. And all these loans and grant comes with conditions. So this is something that will put another burden even in us, if we have to accept the loans, looking at the fact that how our loans is presently, we are having $59 billion in loan on our head. That is almost 130% of the whole budget or the whole resources of the Gambia. Put together, we are having almost 130%, more than what the country itself have, because the percentage should be 100. So meaning if the international communities has to ask for their monies now, we will give all what Gambia has, and still now we will have 30% that we have to pay. So we have a problem in that, but we have the natural resources here, as I earlier said. So we could have utilized and see that, is this necessary at the first place, since we have the coalition agenda? And if you go through the documents of the coalition, how the transition will work, that is the memorandum of understanding, that's the MOU, because the MOU is the working document. If you read it and understand, you will know that all those plans were inculcated in that document. So the national agenda about, it was not actually even necessary in the first place, but recent best known to them, for them to entrench themselves into power, they came with such ideas so that they can entrench themselves into power. But for me, we have document that, speak the same language with the NDP, and if they adhere to that one, we will not even need the NDP right now, if you consider it as a transitional government.
Right. Yeah, so I think everybody's on the same page with that, Chess. So they add this piece of hope, I can call. So this piece of strategy to say we are working on something. It's just like when I give my child a homework, and then we need to go, and I told the child that listen, it's time to go, but daddy, I have this thing that I need to finish. Of course, I have to wait for the child. It's the same scenario here. They saying Gambians, listen, we have an NWP and an NDP to work on. Give us 5 years. But now, you see how things work. Life is really, really, all about doing the right thing. They went to Brussels. They get all these pledges. They are not actual monies. The white folks, they're not. Let me tell you something. White folks are not really. They're not sleeping. They actually know what they're doing. When they give you a task, they monitor the progress.
Yeah.
If it is not making the baseline, they will withdraw. They always leave this clause in whatever agreement they sign with you. If the expectation is not met, they cannot further go. They must have a clause within the contract or whatever they're signing that they can back out. So I don't know. I'm not in the government, but I know for sure. I mean, those pledges, started coming little by little, and they were monitoring it. For some reason, somehow, with all the clouds of things that's going on around, on social media, they're watching, and perhaps that has caused some people to back out, or some people to slow down, or some people to ask more questions. But the biggest question of all is the United States statement of Gambia not being physically, they are physically accountable, I believe, transparent, physically transparent. That is a very, vivid word. That is a word that is an open-ended word. If you are not physically, transparent, that is a doubt. So it might undermine other people's, this thing to give you a chance or actually invest in you. Yeah. So that being said, I think we have exhausted this area, I believe. Unless you have anything that you want to add, check on this. Because Mr.
Yeah,
Saud is
actually.
driving. I mean, you can go ahead.
Yeah, for me, at least we have looked at the whole scenario, and we came with options that could have been, they could have taken another direction rather than the direction that they have taken, and we could have achieved the same thing that we are putting in the National Development Plan. So it's more of the government to look at the resources that we have and look at what is possible, and implement them based on the realities of this country, and understand that in a transition you cannot achieve everything at once. You just lay the foundations, and somebody who will inherit you continue from where you stop. And that was the whole idea of the change, but trying to convince, to chew what you cannot bite, always lead you to these scenarios. And I have seen that they are chewing what they could not bite. And this is the problem right now they are facing. You cannot just do everything within a short period of 5 years or 3 years. It's practically impossible. So you have to study the realities of the country and look at the medium term, the long term, and the short term. What can I achieve? You have to program yourself. What can be achieved in the short term period? You implement. What can be achieved in the medium term? You plan yourself. What can be achieved in the long term? You program yourself. That's how a transition works. But you cannot just jump and look at the whole issue and you said you will address the problem. You can. And claiming that some of our projects are not ready and the other things, government is about inheritance. You start something, you could not finish it, somebody come and continue. This is how it works. It's not about somebody has to be there and you have to do everything. And if you understand that you are a transitional president, you come with a transitional agenda, but you cannot come with a full-fledged government, because Barrow government is not a political party that comes with its policies and its programs before the Gambian people for us to vote for him. Barrow was a transitional president, and through the agendas of the coalition, we voted him. So he could have followed the coalition agenda rather than creating his own agenda, which was not tabled before us, for us to be convinced that yes, this is what Barrow tells us and we must hold him accountable if he fails to do that. But actually what he told us is the coalition agenda. And if you look at the agenda of the coalition, they could have followed that procedure, and the same thing that they will achieve in the national development is the same thing that they will achieve here. So for me, it's for them to go back to the drawing board and look at what is possible in the short term and implement that rather than chewing something that you cannot bite.
Right. So at this point, it looks like perhaps it's too late to because some of the investments, I believe, I started, some of the projects that have been going on, some roads and stuff like that. But it's just that, nothing actually is out there. And then another thing we have a problem with is like in terms of communication. There is no direct communication, and that the citizens are not being enlightened. They don't even know the roadmaps. If it is, maybe it has to do with the leadership style, but when you are in, leading people, you have to have a roadmap of a vision of what you need to do in the targets, in the 6 months, in 1 year, in 3 months, so people can come back and ask you, how is this going? But if those roadmaps are not there, and then everybody's in the dark, they see one project like here, one project like here, it's not even going to be good for you as a leader, because you cannot come and sell it to the people that I did this, I help, you guys helped me did this to get this accomplished. This is what we have been, we're able to do. So you need to go back to your audience, which is your, your people that you like. Listen, this is what we have accomplished in the next, in the last 6 months. What are your feedback? Are you feeling? Am I really representing you? This is what a leader does. You have to, it's two-way communication. You cannot just sit on, I am the boss. I'll do what I choose. That's not the kind of leadership that will help you as a leader and your people. So certain things, I believe that they might even be doing well in other areas, but there's a lapse of communication. And this elapse of communication make people feel like they are not doing anything. And then people are clouded, making rumors. We are in the age of internet. We are in the age of Facebook, social media. People have the right. And now they're gonna get the audacity to tell people, don't criticize, don't talk. Like if you do this, it's not, do that. You don't have the rights to do it. We have the rights to do anything, as long as it's within the context of the law. You understand? When you claim you are a democratic, a sovereign country, you have to practice the baseline of democracy, without any fear or favor. You have to be accountable of what you are, propaganding out there. You cannot be saying that we are democratic, and you are not, especially a democratic, democratic government like this one, that the whole world come together to make sure that this happen. So what I think, is that, if I were to advise the borough government is communicate well with your audience, trying to give them, ahead of time, the plans you have in the next 6 months, next 1 year, right? And then try to make it inclusive. Make your citizens be part of it. Don't say I did this, I did that, I did that. Listen, there is no way you can do these things without the people. Nobody, no leader do things without the people. Why didn't you do it when you are not the leader? When you are not elected? So you are using people's power to make things happen. So those
Mm-hmm.
people should be part of whatever credit that you're claiming. So
Mm-hmm.
this is what we need to get into our leaders, to get to them to understand. So that's what create a better environment for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I understand, your definitely your point of, if they eat what they can chew, and all that. I mean, this entire NDP is, like you said, rightly said, is a propaganda way of, you know, having us. We are here because we have something to do, and we can do it. We can make this country great and all that. But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
the reason for the coalition, we all know, is about setting the reform agenda, opening a
Mm-hmm.
playing field for
Mm-hmm.
every party to have a chance to
Mm-hmm.
contest another election. So
Mm-hmm.
that being said, we can move on to the other agenda, which is the parliament, president not facing the parliament. If you are okay with this, I think we lost Habib at some point, and
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Sawane is probably still driving. So what do you think?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for the issue of president to address the National Assembly, this is a constitutional requirement. It's not just about you feel like to do it, but it is a constitutional requirement that once in a year, the president must address the nation in regards to the state of the nation, what are his agendas, for the legislative agenda, and what did he want to achieve within the period of the 1 year time, that is from January 1st to 31st December. What has to go. But rather, unfortunately, in our country, the constitution just left it open and said that anytime in the year, and other presidents, from where he inherited, that's the Jammeh government, will sit until the last minute, the end of the year, and come and address the nation, and everything is just done. But in a democratic state, it has to start in the first month of the year. You lay down your foundation for the legislative agenda. You tell us this is my target. Within the 12 months, this is what we want to achieve, and putting that before the National Assembly members, they will follow it, the projects and the implementation, and they will scrutinize it. And when they could have they can even advise the government if there's any failures or shortcoming. They could advise, because they are the advisory body to the government, and coming earlier will give the room to the National Assembly so that they will advise you if there's any failures they feel like it's not going in the right direction. But still now the same trend continue with Barrow's administration. They will sit until the last month, like October, you come and you tell us that this is in September, this is my legislative agenda for 2019, when we have only 4 months for the end of the year. Who will follow up the implementation? Who will tell you what is achieved and what was not achieved? Because you cannot scrutinize, because the year has already elapsed. We are going into 2014, and this is your plan for 2019. We are going in for 2020, and when you should tell us your plan for 2019. So for me, the starting point is the government should understand that they should come earlier, and the new constitution should capture this. Let them not leave it open. Let them say first month of the year you come and tell us your legislative agenda, and this will help us in shaping the future of this country. That is my position. But the president, we know what happens. He came and delivered a speech to the National Assembly members and left. And what should be done in the following day, if to give the documents to the National Assembly members and give them maximum of 3 or 2 days for them to study the document, and they start a debate on the whole issue. That is the procedure that should be done, and that was done. They give them the document after Thursday. They give them the document on Thursday. Friday they have the document. On Saturday they have it. On Sunday they have it. And Monday they should start the debate on the whole issue. And they came in and found out that there was nobody from the executive that will come and listen to their concern. What point will they raise? What are the advice they will give to the government in regards to the speech? There was nobody there listening, who will listen to them, so that he can take notes and communicate to the president in regards to the issue. So they feel that if they continue with the debate, they will be talking among themselves, or within the chambers of the National Assembly. Nobody is there who will listen. So they raise a motion that, the executive must be present before they will start the debate on the whole issue, which the president and executive should understand very well that, this is a constitutional requirement that, somebody must come. It's either when the issues are discussed that affect the president, it's either the president or the vice president must be present, to listen to the concern of the people and get down their concern and respond them if it is necessary that he can respond. So, but it didn't happen, and the members have to suspend the session and call on the executive to come. And this was done for 1 hour, and we see 2 ministers came, the third one came late. That is the Minister of Fisheries and the Minister of Youth and Sport, to be there and listen to the National Assembly members' concern, and they will communicate to the president. So this was done, but still now, adhering to the Constitution, Honorable Sana Jawara said that, yes, they have seen the executives are here, that are the ministers, but according to Section 77 of the Constitution, it is only the president or the vice president that can speak on behalf of the president. And after they are debate, the president or the vice president must answer to their concern or the question being raised during the debate. And ministers cannot do that according to the constitutional requirements. So for that being the case, they are not going to continue with the session. And this was supported by the majority of the National Assembly, and the sitting was adjourned to communicate to the president, for him to send either come or the vice president come. And the president responded that, the vice president is not in town, and for him, he's engaged in other business, so he could not come to the National Assembly, to listen to the concern of the National Assembly members. So the sitting has to be adjourned until Thursday on the 3rd, waiting for the vice president to come from the United Nations General Assembly that is held in New York. So this is the problem. But for me, I feel it, has disregard to the institution, disrespect to our national call, because National Assembly is not just a body. This National Assembly is a body that represents the whole country, because all of us cannot go to the National Assembly. That's why we have our various consequences, that you will elect somebody that you trust has the competence to represent you, be your eye, be your ear, be your nose, to represent you in that parliament. So that single person is representing the whole people of that area where he comes from. So that means that everybody is in that National Assembly. So, for the president to disregard, you look at the distance between the states out on here, just to come and take 5 hours of your time, sit down with your technocrats, and the National Assembly members will raise their concern, and these technocrats will get down notes. And after the speech of all the members, the president will come before them and take a podium, and according to what the technocrats get down, he will respond, yes, this is my plan. Okay, you raise the honorable member for Banjul raised this, and this is my plan for that area, and this is what we're gonna do. This is how, it's not about question and answer and confrontation. No, you listen to them and you get down the notes. And we have seen this, ministers came because they are not the brain behind the institution. They will have their peers who will sit before the debate, during the debate, and they take on notes, and they will give it to the minister, and he'll come to the podium and answer. This is as simple as that. So the president could have shown us that, yes, I am represented by the people, and since the National Assembly called me, I send the vice president to go and represent me in other engagement. I will take it upon myself to show the respect that I have for this institution and walk to the National Assembly, listen to their concern. That's how a responsible government acts. But you cannot sit and hold the country in the ransom for 5 days, 6 days to wait for one individual. So meaning that, if something happens that is a serious concern, still now we'll be waiting for vice president to act on behalf of the president, who is not elected by the people, but he has been appointed by the president. So you elected as the president should be held accountable when it comes to issues about the state. So for me, I see it that the president is not taking the responsibility to come and face the National Assembly and listen to their concern and address, and it is very disappointing from his end to me. And I think in the future he will learn from this mistake and make sure that he, when he is called, let him come and address the National Assembly, because this can be used against him to show the whole world that he is not competent to serve. Because if you are elected as a president and you are called to come and answer issues that are directly affecting you, or that you have said before the National Assembly, and you feel reluctant to, you don't want to come and face the nation and back your speech, that shows you that how you are not competent to serve the state. That's what you are telling us, that I'm not fit, but I have to delegate somebody to come and speak on my behalf. For me, it's not a good sign of a leader, and I think he will learn from this in the future conduct.
All right, thank you just for that insight. I mean, nobody knows it like you. I mean, you are on the ground in the Gambia, and you've definitely been involved. I mean, you do some coverage from the parliament, and I'm pretty sure nobody would doubt your knowledge and experience on this. Thank you so much for that insight. We're gonna let Abib also to weigh on this the president's refusal or kind of postponing appearance, because we don't know if he refuses or he's gonna postpone or he wanna assign somebody to come, the vice president to come. So Mr. Habib, Barry, what is your take on this?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sawane. Okay, for me, there is something. This coalition is hiding actually. To me, I would say like that. Okay, not coming to the National Assembly to answer is possibly about something that they are hiding. Is the reason why he needs for the vice president to come over and then do the question and answer. But for him, to my side, I see him as an acting president, because what I know is like the coalition, they have something that they are trying to hide. He was elected, is what they saw on the polls. He was the one representing the coalition. But there is an actual fact. I just don't know if you know about the movie Frankenstein, like hiding the face of the president actually. To me is what I understand. Like Barrow is at State House, but that doesn't mean he is the actual president of the change or the coalition. So it's the reason why he didn't go for the question and answer and then waiting for the vice president to come and represent the actual president on the ground. To me is what I understand. Because like if at all he is the president, then I don't know what he will wait for the vice president to come and represent him while he is away and he's the one in town. If I thought he was the one out of town, then obviously the vice president can represent him. But she is the one out of town and he is here and then waiting for her. Then one, that is a sign of incompetency. Two, they are hiding something like he's an actual president, so obviously he can go there for the question and answer. To me, this is what I understand in it. Unless those who created the coalition, because like okay, it was on the ground, but there are some people who are behind the coalition, and those people, they have their own agenda which they are hiding. To me, is what I understand.
All right.
Because like
Go ahead.
Like when they during the convention, what were the criteria that they were looking for? Which makes them to select Adama Barrow to be the flag bearer of the coalition. Whilst they were well-known political leaders who were contested in previous elections. Why were the people didn't vote those people to represent during the transition, but they decided to vote for him to come in and then lead the transition. So obviously there is something that they are hiding. So by December, obviously the secret that they are hiding will be revealed. To me, this is what I understand.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Habib, Barry, for that insight. So what I learned from both of you, what you've been talking about, is that so all these things are constitutional. What the parliament is asking for the president to come, or his vice president. Then purposely the president says engage, and he will wait for the vice president. So I see on Facebook and other social media, everybody have their thoughts. If I were in his shoes, the president, I think I will. This is a perfect opportunity to sign, especially at a time that you put something out there, and they ask you to come and discuss it. This is the best time to sell your agenda. Definitely, if you really know what you're putting out there and you're comfortable with it, and you have the backing and the facts, because everything you have, when you have a plan, especially you are leading a nation, you have a plan. You are saying that we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. You gotta have the budget, the money, to resources that allocated for it. Because you cannot just talk about something. Otherwise, you will say, we don't have the money for this, but we're planning to do this when we get the money. But if you say that this is what is going to take place, then you must have resources for it. Secondly, if you say you have done this, you should have a proof that it has been done. So the whole addressing of the National Assembly, to me, my own opinion, I think first of all, the president shouldn't even have sit down sat on and sat down and then kind of deliver to the National Assembly. Why? Because I feel if he stood up and convey the message, he will take the command of what he was saying. So you stand up in front of the National Assembly and then talk to them and then make them feel, listen, I'm in charge. So I have a responsibility to my nation as a leader. Here are the things that we need our country to be in the next 1 or 2 years. And then given that command, everybody will look up to you as a leader. Now, you put your command there and you should be open to any question about that. Now, also during the speech, something that I have trouble with is the statistics. If you are giving a speech, we have seen it, and even in the United States here, when you are giving, when the president is giving State of Union, they give the direction. What are the direction that we want the country to be in the next 1 year? You know, how will that affect the lives of the people? Once you started throwing all the statistics out there, the numbers, nobody is going to remember those numbers. I'm not going to sit down and try to know this percentage of this thing would increase, this percentage of this thing. Those statistics, leave that to your secretary. Leave that to somebody to post that on on a website. If I need to do my research, I can go and look at the statistics and say, okay, the government has done this. The thing has been, increased. Our revenue has been increased 90%. Blah blah blah. But when you're addressing the nation to build their confidence, to make sure that they feel confident about their government, you gotta hit them with emotion, with things that they concern. What are the how are we gonna save more lives in a hospital? What are the biggest things that are bothering Gambians in education? How are we gonna be able to? What is the plan for us to get our folks educated so that we can have employment? Easy employment in our country instead of our kids going on back ways and stuff like that. So those kind of visionary, and that is tied to the emotion of the people, and that to make people build confidence again in the economy and everything that is going on. That is the niche that usually you do in this kind of state addressing. But if you want to throw all that numbers out there, nobody is going to remember that unless it's written. So I'm sitting there or watching. At the end of the day, I didn't even, I didn't even take anything with me, because at the end of the day, I couldn't even remember, what is the direction that we're going. So I think that's a missed opportunity right there. And at the same time, next time around, stand in front of the, chamber. Be the man. Address your nation, looking into their eyes, and build the confidence of the citizens in you. These are very, very good tips that the president's speechwriter should really look into. Because I study speech coach. I'm a speech coach. I understand how the president can use that opportunity to connect with the Gambian audience and make them believe that this is our leader who can give us hope. By throwing all those numbers out and statistics, and we did this, we did that, we did that, that's not gonna. Just look at the direction that the country want to go. What are the things, big plans that are in place? Just reiterate that. Just keep saying those things, with connecting with the emotion and making people trust your leadership. I think that's very important. And then, of course, the fact of him not coming, I don't know the details, so I cannot really, speculate that. But he must have his own. But if I were him, I would have just come to the national TV and say, or whatever, give my reasoning, communicate, to the people that listen, especially National Assembly members, tell them that, listen, this is mandated upon me or my vice president to come, but this is our plan. Now, if he said that he is busy, he's entitled to give that, as an excuse. The vice president, of course, is with us here, so she wouldn't be back until, like you said, next Thursday. She has no means of even getting back because of the fact that she has other errands to do here. Now, if the vice president get home and she's tired, how long will it take for her to also digest that? And then perhaps also this speech was reading, but the president was not well informed with it. He was just reading. That could be another criteria. That could be another reasoning. Because these people, they write stuff. Presidents are very busy. They write stuff for them. If they don't actually understand it, then it become a problem. So I think we are in a very, very uphill battle here. Difficult, difficult scenario here, because at the end of the day, what's gonna happen is Barrow might not even appear, and people are gonna be running with it. Of course, critics will be running with it. He's not competent, he's not there, which I'm not gonna say, because when Barrow was chosen, we are not looking for, a person, a perfect person to put in place. We are saying that whoever is electable, would be choosing to just to defeat the Ajame. It could have been you, it could have been anybody else. So I don't fault Barrow on that. You know, he's a perfectly gentleman. I mean, I like him as a person. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, I'm not gonna I'm gonna not sweat that. I'm not gonna sweat that area of his lack of this, lack of this, lack of this. Like you guys rightly said, a transition is there for transitional. So I think Gambian people make their pick based on that. Anything beyond might be questionable, and people have the right to question that. Remember, we cannot sensitize the Gambian people. Those days are over now. We have to leave people to speak their mind. And that's why we have a platform like this. We're not attacking anyone. We want to give everybody a fair and balance so that they can, at the end of the day, get something out of what we are saying. But as far as, I think one person asked me, what did the law say? Should it say that the president has to, come right away? Is there a time frame in the constitution before the president answers to the parliament? I was discussing with a friend, and that's very important. We have to look before we all jump and say, Barrow is sitting there 5 miles away from the state house, from the parliament. Why can't he just walk? It's not like that. Things for presidents is doesn't like that. Everything has to be on protocol. Like everything has to be calculated. Remember, they are politicians. They're not going to shoot themselves down. If Barrow feels like he's not comfortable to ask, he doesn't know half of the information that he read. Why would he take that chance? So I think the whole thing about this is that this is a drama. I like the dramatic part of it because I like the parliament's ability and the balls they have to push this, and I like also the president's side, what he's doing, trying to use any tool at his capacity. So this is what democratic brings. But at the end of the day, I know somebody is gonna come, either him or the vice. But what does the law say about how many times? Could he wait until next year? Could he wait until 3 months later? Do we have to go after him, hammering him because he doesn't come right away? Or he's right a few blocks away? And why would he wait for the vice president? Because we don't believe that, he can do it. No, I don't think we have to rush into those conclusions. I think what we have to be open. This is a very good dramatical event happening here. Let's give democracy a chance. Let's make sure that Barrow take advantage of whatever he has to. Let the parliament also take advantage of anything in the law to make sure that the president comes. And at the end of the day, the showdown will happen. And each and every one of those things that he mentioned will be looked into. And the parliament, I commended the parliament very much for that, because anything that the money has to be spent on has to be questioned and has to be making sure that it's feasible before people jump into conclusion. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just in regards to what you said, whether it has been said in the or mentioned or stated in the constitution that he has to come and it has to be a time frame. It's it depends on what motion did the National Assembly table before the Parliament, in regards to who should come and who should not come. And right away, the problem that we have here, how the motion was tabled. The motion that was tabled is either the president or the vice president must be here. That's according to Section 77 of the Constitution. So since that is the case, they are relying on the loopholes of the Constitution that it doesn't make it mandatory that it's the president who should come. It's just give an option. It's either the president or the vice president, but one must be there when they are addressing the issue. So because of the loophole in our constitution, the president is relying because it's not mandatory for him to come and face the nation. But when it comes to democracy, a good governance, or to show the quality of leadership in you, if the vice president is not here, you could have just come to show the people that, yes, I want to take the responsibility. I don't want to keep the National Assembly ransom for 7 days, 8 days to wait for somebody. Or we come to the parliament and there will be no sitting. And, it's a law in our parliament that the moment National Assembly members leave their house, they come to the assembly. If there's no sitting, the moment they left their house, they have a sitting allowance. So all those 2 days that happens, we are losing money. Each is paid, $1,000 has sitting allowance. So you calculate 58 people, we are calculating 58,000. 2 days is how much? So that's not small amount of money for the state to be just paying that, and because somebody didn't fail to come to the National Assembly. But the National Assembly members who can make it mandatory, like if they have made it in the motion, because the National Assembly has the power to call on the president, to answer questions that they feel like he's the person they could have tabled a motion and say that we summon the president to come before us in regards to this issue. And if the motion is directly direct to the president, it is mandatory that it's only the president who will come. But the motion before us right now is that, they rely on Section 77 of the Constitution. We just make it, optional. It's either the president or the vice president, but one has to be there to address this issue. So because of the loophole in our constitution, the president said that, it's not a constitutional force on me for me to be there. It's either me or my vice president. And it doesn't give you a time frame. So for them, he would rely on that constitutional loophole to say, okay, I have to wait for my vice president to be here so that I can come and answer to the National Assembly. So nobody can hold him accountable, or to say that, he disrespect our constitution, because the loophole is already in our constitution. So that's why, the whole idea of the coalition was to amend the constitution, because we feel like the constitution, there are so many bad laws that are there that are not democratic. Because if the members of the National Assembly who are the representative of the whole nation, calls you and you have to wait for somebody to come, that's not democratic. So those are the loopholes in our constitution. That's why we said immediately after the change, we will look at the constitution and amend the bad laws, because not the whole 1997 constitution is bad. It was amended during the process, but the original 1997 constitution was a perfect constitution. But as we were going, there were amendments, and I went through the constitution, through the records, I found out that, our constitution has been amended, for almost 100 and something times, more especially in 2001, there were so many amendments that has taken place. So the ones that Jammeh removed in the constitution to suit him are the ones we're going to take it there to be a democratic value, democratic constitution, and we'll have a perfect constitution. So we would have saved the state resources of creating a constitutional review commission and so many things. So, but all said and done, that is passed. But for me, it is the loophole that is in the constitution where the president is relying on, for not to come wait for his vice president. So there is no time frame in the constitution. But the members could have, and I wish they could have, the motion could have said, we want the president to come and address this issue. Then that will make it mandatory for the president. But the motion that was tabled before the National Assembly is either the president or the vice president. And that's why, we have to wait for the vice president to be here, because it's not compulsory, but it's an optional.
Okay, so that is clear. So now I'm glad that you mentioned that, check about the time frame. So that means of course Barrow is having a very good advisors who are spending, who are getting paid, looking into these loopholes, and whatever he can use. Like I said, the man, I mean, like, it's a human nature. I mean, like, unless again we get to that level. I mean, again, like, is the leadership that can get to a certain level during the the transitional period of reform and say, listen, I think, for the betterment of the country, we are doing this. We must do this, even if it's not convenient for me as a leader, we must do this. But you have to understand, like, with the kind of surrounding that Barrow is at, those kind of, mentality is not there. So how can we survive this? That's the kind of mentality. It's not like we need to do this for the betterment of the country, even if it is not convenient. So it's two different directions that we are in. So right now, as citizens, we need to push, we need to push any buttons that could, in a right way, that could make us achieve our goal as well. That could subject the administration to be on the course, because right now, people would, I mean, like I said, he's surrounded with people who would try to move the course to another direction, even though, like, that would be convenient for them, even if it's not convenient for the citizens. But the citizens has to push it to another direction that is convenient for the citizen, even if it's not convenient for the government. So
Mhm.
it's a very big challenge, and everything has to be legal, like I said, and then be done in the right way according to the law. But this constitution of 1997 that you stated, with these loopholes, this could have been taken care of. But again, this is another, an escape route. That is why when they came to power, they are just pick little pieces to amend. You know, before you waste your time, amend the age limit,
Mhm.
amend this thing.
Mhm.
Now you time limit is there. You could have
Mhm.
done that within the twist of a blink of an eye. There are other ones very important, but why? Because again, these people are having advisors, and those advisors are not in the same interest with you and
Mhm.
I. So
Mhm.
they are leaving those things as escape routes.
Mhm.
So the citizens need to know this. That's why this platform is important,
Mhm.
to bring to the attention of our people that
Mhm.
we need to communicate up to the little
Mhm.
child.
Mhm.
What are their citizenry rights? What they need to
Mhm.
know, what their government is telling them is always not in their best interest. And they have to do more research, more reading, more research, and more dialogue on, politics, because it's not like politics is bad. It's the practices of politics that those are the folks that are bad, and there are good ones also. So we need to highlight people about. But if you turn your back away and say, "Oh, I'm not into politics because politicians are like this," then our national problem will never get solved, and all
Mhm.
the good folks will run away from politics and leave the folks that are there just for their head, and that the country will never grow. So definitely,
Yeah.
to this end, about this president's facing the parliament, I think we have exhausted the fact that in an ideal world, and if it was you and I, we would take this opportunity to shine, to prove
Mhm.
ourselves to the world that, listen, you know, I was given a task as a president, and I'm here, and I was asked to come. I will be jumping and going and then confronting with these people, and then convincing them to buy into my idea, buy into
Of
my
course.
this. But if you see he's not really willing to do that. Again, there might be something lacking, and then he's enjoying these loopholes, and he's gonna use them, not to face the parliament, or probably use the vice president to go, or any minister, which I think they're saying that the ministers are definitely, they're not going to take those people to represent. They want the vice president and the president, one or either one of them.
Yeah.
So I think we
Like,
are, yeah, if you have anything else.
yeah, like you earlier said, for me, that's the problem. The president is just right on the loopholes, but he could have used this opportunity, and he could have made a very big impact, because he's the one who read this document before us, and you come in personally to defend what you read before us. Because after this speech, people were even claiming that this was not his word; it was just written for him to come and on that to just read before us. But you could have convinced us, through the support of your technocrats, like I said. This is not about question and answer between the president and the National Assembly, but you have to sit down and listen to all the 58 members. They will they will stood up and take the podium and say whatever they feel like, or what is their observation in regards to your speech. And your technocrats will be getting their points one by one. And after they just combine them and give it to you, go and stand and say, so you could have used this opportunity and convince them that, this is what I have intention. And you could have, convinced so much of people who were criticizing that it was not your speech. But his failure to do that, is just an opportunity that he have blown. But coming back to you earlier mentioned that people has to take the ownership of the country, like sitting and say that politics is bad. I'm not gonna be in politics. For me, I just see that you are surrendering your power as a citizen. To say that yes, no problem, I'm not, because the day you decided that you are not in politics and you will not gonna vote or you're not gonna participate in politics, you are telling others to decide on you whether good or bad. It's okay with you whether your country is going in the wrong direction. You doesn't care whether it's going in the good direction. You doesn't care, but you want people to decide on your behalf. And if that is the case, then you have no say in the matter of the state, because you have surrendered your sovereign power to other people to decide on your behalf. So for me, it is everybody's responsibility. And that's why you have a voter's card. If you see that your country is going in the wrong direction, you use your voter's card and change that direction that you see that is not the good direction. That is the power that you have, guaranteed by the Constitution. So, but if you said, yeah, because few people are doing something wrong, and for me, I have given up on my nation, and that shows you that, you are not a concerned citizen, you are not a patriotic citizen, because that's why you have a voter's card, and each and every one of us has one voter's card. That, if you see your country is going in the wrong direction, you use that card, to direct the government in the right direction. So for me, citizens have
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Check. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Check. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
my network is gone.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead. Hello?
Hello, I said my network was, somebody was calling me. Sorry for that, and I have to
Okay.
reject the call.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Just continue.
Yeah. So as I was saying, everybody is a politician, because we entrust politicians with the wealth of our country to decide for us. So, and if you say that I will give you the wealth of this country, because each Gambian, either direct or indirect, we are all contributing, to the budget of this country, because we pay tax. Gambia here, even you go to the shop, you buy a match, you pay tax. It's called indirect tax. So everybody is contributing, to the development of this country, either direct or indirectly. We all contributed, and our money is put together and given to the politician, to decide for our country. So saying that, I'm not part of politics, I'm not gonna vote, I'm not gonna say, it's just like you are surrendering your sovereignty, or your power that was vested on you by the Constitution to decide how your country will be run, surrendering into one group of individuals to do whatever they feel like doing, and you are satisfied with it. So for me, that notion has to change. People have to take the ownership of the country, know that the future of the country lies in your voter's card. Each voter's card must decide. It means something. It has to decide how your country will be decided. And if you sit home and fail to vote, that means that you are just telling other people to decide whether good or bad for your country, and you are satisfied with that. And we have to change this notion. I see people say, me, I'm not. You engage them. They said, I'm not part of politics. Everybody is our concern to be. We are all politicians, because they are the people who decide on us, who take the mentorship of leadership in this country. They have our national wealth. They control everything. So you must be part of things that have direct impact in your day-to-day activities in this country. So my advice to Gambian people: let's take the ownership of the country and all participate in the politics to decide the future of our country.
Very good. It's a very good inspirational words for our Gambians. I think the when you look at the Gambian population, more people are. I recently visited Gambia 5 months ago, and the politics there now is all over the place. I mean, people who never been part of politics before, they are engaged, and then they are interested, and then they are discussing, they are making arguments, they are proving themselves. So this is good for our country. This change is really good. Perhaps we are not, we kind of not there in terms of where we wanted to be. It cannot happen overnight, but I think starting from now, people are really making headway, and then it's a good thing for the country, especially if we have to do this civic education, even to extend it to the villages. I was talking to one friend of mine, that if we can, even the local people in local languages, I mean, communicate, even the constitution, the rule of law, and all these things to people, and then the tricks, and then or some of the skills the politicians use to overpower our minds, and then having to give you money to buy your votes. These are all, a danger to the future of our country, because what is happening is you are enjoying that money right now. The politician put that money in your pocket, but that money is going to be gone. But the decision that is made, you are making, and the empowerment you are giving to that person, you are liable for that. If that person go and make right decisions under your behalf, you have contributed to that failure. You who ate that money and feed your family, you are contributing to that failure. So
Exactly.
no politician should buy you know your mind. You should be able to think about the children, the future, the decision that these people are making by empowering them. If you put the wrong person in power, and they made certain legislative, even one legislative, and decision in the parliament that ruined the life of many people. You who took that money and feed your family, you are liable for that. you
Mm-hmm.
know Even religiously, you
Mm-hmm.
are liable for that, because what you are doing is you are empowering somebody who is a wrong decision maker, and then creating bad laws that will affect the life of neighborhoods, that will also jeopardize the life of neighborhood, beside not even
Mm-hmm.
working. That's
Mm-hmm.
another thing. You are putting somebody in power who is not even fit to lead or to be represent your area. So all these things need to be communicated to our people in the provinces, local people in local languages. Let's just be feel free. It's not all about English. If you don't know English, you know Pula. If you don't know Pula, you know Maninka. If you don't know Maninka, you know Wolof. Let's feel free and discuss our national issues. To I mean, in the villages, in the mountains, anywhere possibly people are found, and this will really bring a lot of a lot of education to the Gambian nation. So at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, 5 years from now, people's vote will be like a goal. The politician
Mm-hmm.
will not come and tell you all kind of story, and you buy it. Okay, we have cell phone now. We have WhatsApp. Before, we didn't have all that. So information is flowing 24/7. So
Mm-hmm.
a politician cannot come and then buy you, tell you garbage, and you take it. You
Mm-hmm.
have to, you have the right to question. You have the right to use your brain, and then
Mm-hmm.
and ask questions, and then you are seeing what is happening in the world. So use
Mm-hmm.
it to the best of your ability and make right judgment. That
Mm-hmm.
politician, $100, $100 is $2,000 is that you're gonna eat today. It's not gonna benefit your children. You eat it today, you feed your family, that's it, it's gone. But the decision that they make will stay here for years. And who is going to suffer? Your children. Let us not be selfish. Let's think about the future, our future generation. Let's think about, what we want our country to look like when we are in our graves. You know, but if you just think about this money right now, my friend, we're going to fail immensely. And this is the educative part that we want to sink to our people. Let it get to the last person in the village. Let it get to everybody, people in the farms. Their vote is equally important. Like a president, you have a vote, a president has one vote. So don't say my vote doesn't count. No, it counts, because you and the president are equal when it comes to vote. So we need that to sink to average Gambians. So
Mm-hmm.
check the next topic that we have here is I'm pretty sure Habib said his battery is getting warmed up, and we are
Mm-hmm.
in 1 hour into the program. Is meeting with the 3 year Jordan. Another thing on our agriculture. But I will be precise on meeting with 3 year Jordan because I don't know the inside of that. But what I know is that this 3 years 3 years Jordan thing, it seems like it is real. And then they have the constitutional right to protest according to the laws of our land. I mean, an agreement was made, and if people feel like that agreement hasn't been honored, they have the right to go and protest. Now, how the police supposed to provide them with permit and make sure that they don't do anything that will be unlawful. Okay, they don't do something that will be unlawful. They do something that are lawful according to the law of the land. So either you agree that ballots will serve beyond 3 years or not. Um, you know, the idea of the 2 years, is 3 years ordinance for them to protest is in their legal rights to do so. Now, we also will not condone our country to be run into chaos, based on the fact that like somebody or people would do something that is unconstitutional. Now, the Paro government, they have an obligation, how to counter, how to handle the whole situation. If they handle it with the way they need to, without using abusive force, then let the people make their voice heard. Then I think we will be fine. I personally, I always declare that I believe in the agreement. I believe in the fact that the coalition had a very good strategy. It was just unfortunate the way everything turned out to be, and you cannot blame one person. This cannot be
Mhm.
only Borough. I think all the coalition members fail us. I mean, I will never trust those folks because they all collectively, not individually. So they all fail us. And you can come and say different story. One person can come and say, I'm not like this, I'm not gonna take it, because you know why? When you are in the group and the group fail, everybody fails.
Mhm.
That's the reason why it's important to make sure the group doesn't fail.
Mhm.
So if I'm in the group, I failed as a part of the team. So I think president dialogue is always what I've been talking about since this whole thing started. I said, let the president have dialogue and then communicate with the voters who put him in power.
Mhm.
Not only the coalition members, because those people are corrupted already.
Mhm.
They have shown that they don't have integrity, and then they fought on a very ideal
Mhm.
plan.
Mhm. Mhm.
They all back, they let it fall on the crack.
Mhm.
So my thinking is meeting with them, meeting with this whole thing and try to work something out should have been done a year ago. A
Mhm.
year ago.
Mhm.
But if the president thinks like he is the boss and
Mhm.
can implement on people and say, I don't give a damn about this
Mhm.
whole agreement, that is not, in the best interest of the country.
Mhm.
So I always been in that position. And the president also has certain rights, according to the constitution. So
Mhm.
it is a fine line. I mean, it's a difficult task we found ourselves in.
Mhm.
you know the fact that the constitution also have this
Mhm.
start that the president have the ability to stay in power after 5 years. After 5 years, that should be done. So you can go back, and depending on whose favor, whose side you are on, you can go back and
Mhm.
forth on this.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think meeting with the people who don't agree with the extension should have been done a long time ago. So that way, at least, you know, we can have a little, way out.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I think
Yeah, thank you.
coalition's
Okay,
plan
no,
was
no.
the best thing that ever happened to Gambia. If we had done what the coalition plan was, there won't be any self-perpetuated leadership. There won't be, everybody will have a playing field. That we won't be having all these problems that we are having. But
Mhm.
selfish people among them
Mhm.
went along and did what they need to do to get us in this mess.
Mhm.
Yeah. What is your
Yeah,
take?
yeah, thank you very much. For me, I made my position very clear that this is the only opportunity that the Gambia have. For 54 years, we could have saved the future of this country. For 54 years, this country has never changed through the ballot box. That is fact. It's Yaya Jammeh Jawara came, during the transition, and he was there, from Prime Minister up there. Yaya Jammeh came through the coup d'etat. So Gambian people didn't decide. So until on the 2nd of December, the coalition came together and they realized that what are the realities in this country. They have realized that for 22 years, this man has been here. We tried to remove him. We do everything we could not remove him, based on, how, he is. And even the political parties that they are so close to Jammeh, during the election, if you look at the percentage, are now dropping down from 36, they are coming down. I could remember the last vote was 17%. when Jammeh was almost 80-something%, so 83%. So definitely he was just going up, and to remove a democratic elected government, you have to go through the ballot box, and do it. Even we could have seen Gambians were desperate. We used so many means. You could see the December attack. So the country was more of heading to a civil war because people were desperate and they want a change of government. So the coalition look at this, and people who understand the politics of this country and sat and say what is possible, for us to change this government. And they sit down and understand that what we can do is for also put our political difference aside and come together and form a coalition. That will be an umbrella body, and the whole country will take the ownership of it so that we could remove Jammeh through a democratic ways, that is by the ballot box. And this was successful, and we could see, how, it paid dividend. We could see the margin, how we defeated Jammeh, the person who was here for 22 years, until the Gambian people were no more convinced, because you talk to some, they will say that that notion has been in the people that, now even a voter's card cannot remove a president here. So we were heading to a civil war. You could see the soldiers were desperate, the burning of the APRC political bureau. They were waiting after the election. Who are the people they will attack? The soldiers were, who were arrested. So the country was heading to more of a civil war. So we came together and came with this idea of let's have a transitional president. Yes, we know that the Constitution said 5 years. And the person who was elected knows this. The Constitution said 5 years. But we say, let's set a sample. For 54 years, this country has not changed. Jawara for 30 years. Yahya Jammeh for 22 years. People just come and entrench themselves, to the Gambian people. And they continue. There's no age limit, and the person continues. And we could see Jammeh even try, kinship in this country, to change our constitution, whereby you will have kinship in this country. So if those trend continues, we might end up having a monarchical system of government, whereby one family or one client will be the only person who will rule this country for the rest of the time. Then what is the use of sending your children to school? Because I want my children to be a president, likewise somebody else. So, but if that trend continues, so we say now let's set a sample that the person will show example that yes, we are not here as a power-hungry person. I'm not here to show my political party. I'm not here to show the power that I have. I'm here to put a transitional agenda for 3 years. You will cut your term from 5 years to 3 years to set a sample for another person who is coming after you. You will say, yes, this person's constitutional right is 5 years, but he cut it to 3 years. So me, I must have an age limit in the Constitution to set a sample that you can only serve for 1 term and we go for election the second term. If you won, you go for the second term. The third term, you cannot contest again because there will be a term limit that you can only contest for 2 terms, 5 years or 4 years. So the sample will be there. This is the whole idea. And hadn't been that during the convention at the 17th of October, when they were making that agreement, Barrow said that, yes, if you elect me, I will serve for 5 years. Nobody will have vote for him. If Barrow said that if you elect me during my term of office, I will support other political party. I will not support the other political party. He will not have them vote for a presidential candidate. If Barrow said that, if you vote for me, next election after that, I will contest again. Nobody will vote for him. We will not have a coalition. If Barrow said that I will not be an independent president, nobody will have elected him. So all this were agreed, and Barrow knows that. So this was not about imposing something on Barrow. There was an agreement that is on the 17th of October. On the 17th of October, I will share the video where all the political parties, that will be the 3 years exactly when they start at Kairaba, and they agree on this, and all the political parties will see in the video, they all took that document and signed the 17th October agreement that these 4 key things are important, and we all agree on that. The person will be an independent president. He will not contest in the next election coming. The person will serve for 3 years. Will not support any other political party during his tenure of office. This was clear, and they all agreed to this and signed. So it's not about unconstitutional or Barrow has to follow the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear on section 65 of the Constitution. The president can resign anytime after resuming office. So Barrow will say that based on our agreement, for me, I'm going to resign. Immediately, the 3 year is elapsed. He said, I'm going to resign. By then, we will amend the Constitution. That's section 79, section, I couldn't remember the section, which says that, the vice president will take the rest of the term. By then, it was there, if the president resigns or something happens to the president, vice president will take over for 90 days and we go in for election. Jammeh amended this to protect himself if something happens to him, because people were attending his life, coup d'etats upon coup d'etats. So he said, let me amend this Constitution. Even if I'm not here, I said he could still continue the rest of my term, or Ablai Bode and the Speaker of the National Assembly could continue the rest of the term, and still now you'll have an APRC government. So he amended that section. But the original 1997 Constitution, you go, president, vice president will take over for 90 days, we go in for election. So you will have amended that section because we were planning for a constitutional review. That was the whole idea, like what they did to the age limit. and that of the Section 91D of the National Assembly. By then, National Assembly members, if your party sack you, you automatically lose your seat. All those sections were amended. So you could have amended this section too, so that if Barrow resigns, the vice president will come 90 days. Within the 90 days, he will conduct an election. So there's nothing like unconstitutional in this. It's Barrow who failed to adhere to the very principles or the very agreement that made him to be a president today. Because at the discussion, if Barrow said that I will serve for the 5 years, he will not be elected. I am 100% sure of that. So people should be held accountable to their words. This is the only way that will save the future of this country. We know, and we have to learn from history what happened. Jammeh took over this country when they could Jawara. What did they say? They said they are here for a transitional period, and after that they will hand over the government to the civilian rule and go into and go back to the barracks. But
Right.
what happens? We went in now 22 years, we suffer. So those are the histories that people should learn and save the future of our country. That's why history is important. It is a learning point. What happens? What were the shortcomings? Let's learn from them and not to allow the recurrence of such things. That is what history is meant for. So if Gambian people are not learning from that history and they are saying, yes, we should allow Barrow because the constitution said that, the Barrow knows that more than anybody. All those people who sat at Kairaba, there's no better Gambian who know constitution about those people. You cannot talk of my party about constitution. You cannot talk of Hamad Ba about constitution. I said Toure, no. Khalifa Sallah, no. So you cannot tell that you know the constitution more than those people. They know exactly what they are doing. And based on Section 65 of the Constitution, they make the agreement. So people should move from saying that the 3 years is constitutional, unless you are ignorant about your very Constitution that guides you. There is no thing that is violating this Section 65 of the Constitution. So for me, that's my position. But for the 3 years people, it is their constitutional right to hold their government accountable. But it's left to Barrow to say that what we agree on in Kairaba, this is what I will go in, and it's left to Barrow to say that, no, I don't agree with that. I will follow the Constitution. Still now, he's in the confine of the Constitution. He has the constitutional backing. And, nobody can hold him accountable for it. You can say that it's left to the Gambian people to decide when he faces them again, for him to be re-elected, and say that we agree on this on the 17th of October, but you didn't adhere. So you are not somebody who should be trusted to be entrusted with the wealth of this country because you have failed us with your promise. We are not going to vote it. That is left to the Gambian. That is the power of your voters card. But to say that you will remove a democratic elected government by means of force, there is no constitutional backing in that. And I will not participate because that is treasonable offense. Overthrowing a democratic elected government is treasonable. And Section 5 of our Constitution, it is the duty of every citizen to defend the Constitution. So for me, I rather go in for defending the Constitution since it gives him the 5 years. But people should not say that the 3 years is unconstitutional. It is clear in our Constitution the president can resign after 3 years. So it's left to him to decide to adhere to the agreement or not. That is left to him. And if he does that, the Gambian people will judge him based on whatever happens. Mm-hmm. And if he goes by the 5 years too, it's still in the dictates of the Constitution. So for me, that is my problem. That's my position. I don't support any illegal way of removing a democratic elected government. That's my position. So it's left to Barrow and the 3 years people too. They have their right to say that we want to hold our leaders accountable.
Right. Okay.
Somebody is just calling me, but I declare the call. So for me, that's my position. So it's the 3 years people today have their right to protest, to show their anger or dissatisfaction with any government. And if they do that, the government, I'm advising them to give them the permit and they go and do whatever protest they want to do, but they should be confined with the dictates of the law, and they should not do anything that will violate the rights of other citizens of this country. Because where your rights stop, that's where my rights start. So people have to understand that, you have a right, to demonstrate, but people too has a right that they must have a freedom of movement. So you should not block the traffic. You should not block the movement of the people. That is their constitutional right to move freely in their country without any interruption or any disruption from any citizen. So for me, that's my position. So they should apply and the police should grant them the permit to do whatever they feel like doing. That's my position. And they should do it in the dictates of the law. They should not do what is against the law of this country. That's my position. And it's left to Barrow to go with the 3 years agreement or to go with the Constitution, and the Gambian people will judge him based on what he told us when he faced us again. So for me, all these things, it's dictates of the Constitution. They all have the right to do whatever they're going to do. So that's my position. But it's Barrow, fail. If he said that, they didn't sign or he's relying on that we have projects that it's not Barrow's responsibility. The TRRC is not Barrow's TRRC. The Constitutional Review Commission is not Barrow's constitution, it's Gambian people constitution, and government goes and go, but institution has to stay. So it's not Barrow's institution, so he cannot say that because we start the TRRC, it's not complete, so I cannot go. That is not Barrow's TRRC, it's not Barrow's constitutional review. This is Gambia government's, the citizens of the Gambian's institution, and the institutions will be here forever. So he could not take that excuse and say that, yes, he's not taxed to complete all the project. He's there to lay the foundation, and the foundation is, you said the TRRC, you said the Constitutional Review Commission, you set any institution you want, you leave it there, and another government will continue from where you stop. So that's not an excuse that he should give us that I didn't complete this and I didn't complete this. And I had Fatmata Tambajan engagement with them. They say that, because they rely very good about, they rely on, they have agree on for Barrow to continue to the 5 years. But they didn't tell us that the agreement is not only about the 3 years, but whether Barrow will seek for another re-election, they didn't tell us anything about that. And if they allow Barrow to go, he can say that I'm going to contest again, because it is his constitutional right that every Gambian has the right to be voted and to be voted for. That is constitutional requirement, that everybody has the right to be voted and to be voted for. So if that is the constitution and you agree on something, so if you allow Barrow to go in for another term, that means that the level political ground that we were fighting to have a multi-party contest, that you have a level playing ground whereby political parties will come before the Gambian people based on their programs and policies to convince us, and people will vote based on the programs and policies, we will never achieve that one, because the incumbency will use the state resources, will use the state vehicles, will use the incumbency, his office to influence borders. And this is what has happened for 54 years in this country, that we don't have fair and free level political ground for multi-party contest. The incumbency will use the incumbency and intimidate people, use the power of his office, use the state resources so that he can win. This is what we want to make an end to. That's why we say the incumbency who wins as the flag bearer of the coalition will not contest in the next election, so that we'll have a multi-party vision. You will open the radio station, open the national TVs. Politicians will come before the voters, the citizens, and tell them their programs and policies. And based on that, we will be convinced based on programs and policies, and we'll vote you based on programs and policies, but not that, because of the incumbency or because of the state resources that you are distributing, but we will be voting based on policy. And this should be the direction of the 21st century. People should vote because of informed choice that will liberate this country, that will move this country forward. And what the coalition people, whoever endorsed Barrow, they are not talking about all those implications. They are only interested about the 3 years. And this is more than the 3 years. There are so many things that it entails, but they are not talking about all those things. Whether their agenda has been achieved, nobody is concentrated about, but they just want to put Barrow there to continue with the 5 years. It is more than the 5 years. Let them look at all what combines them together to form this coalition. Is it achieved? Our constitution is here. Still now we are relying on the 1997 constitution. The 1997, we might even be going with the 1997 constitution to next election. And if that happens, there is no age limit, there is no term limit in that constitution. So Barrow can continue for next 50 years, as far as Gambian people are voting for him. Who has the guarantee that the next constitution will have the term limit? So all these things are things we have to look into. There are so many bad laws there that you cannot even say a word to the president. What we are saying here, we can be taken to court for, speaking against the president because it's there in our law. Those bad media laws are there still now. So all this, but nobody cares about all those things. Where's the freedom of information bill? All those things didn't come up. There are so many things in our constitution. People, still now we don't have a democratic constitution, but they only concentrate on this 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. But they don't look at the implication in the whole agreement. What was the purpose of the change? Why do we demand for the change? Why people forget about their political parties and have an umbrella body? This should be the concern of any genuine Gambian. You should not only look at Barrow to entrench himself, but what led us to form this coalition. So for me, it is more than this.
Right. Thank you so much, Chess. Wow, that was a lot of information. I don't even know where to start with this thing. Now you mentioned that okay, it is the coalition said 3 years, and then all the members of the coalition, they know the constitution, and the president definitely can resign anytime. It's in the constitution, which is clear. You also stated that Barrow has the mandate also, the constitutional bargain, to go for 5 years if you choose to do that. Now, the only thing that the Gambian people can do is to hold him accountable, morally, for not abiding by the agreement, correct? And then when he faced them again, they can say, he's not, trustworthy or anything. So that is very important point, I think. The only thing is like the Gambian people, they have to get to the point, political, level, whereby they know, you know, and that's what we are doing here in this platform as a civic education platform. I keep mentioning, what is their civic right? So they need to look into the interest of a nation. If you're always gonna look into the interest of self, the politicians have money. They are sweet talkers. They can come and shower you with a lot of money and talk sweet to you, give you empty promises, and they will never fulfill. So it's left to our citizens to vet our politicians before voting for them. And let's say Barrow face them again, they have the obligation to look into the past record and say, listen, this man, tell us this. Now I don't think we'll vote for him, or this is why we'll vote for him. So these are all, part of the civic education program that we are doing, and we need to increase in the Gambia to let our people know that they are determining their own future. It's not implemented upon them. You can reject, the politician's offer and focus on the interest of your children and then the future generation by, doing the right thing, you know, open to the right things and doing the right thing. And don't vote according to tribal line. Don't vote according to family line and so forth. Oh, I know this person. I know this person. So now, according to your analysis, is that the only way that is legal or the legitimate way is to, when Barrow said that he's gonna continue, you know, for the 3 years to have their constitutional right to protest, and the police be there and give them the permit and let them do their, demonstration without hindrance to our traffics, without causing any public chaos and so forth, according to the context of the law, and let Barrow, you know, also fulfill his constitutional mandate for 5 years. And when he comes back to face them, the Gambian by the time will be prepared to decide. So, but another thing you mentioned that is worrisome is that that undermines the whole effort of the coalition, which is to say that, um, you know, the to say that the playing field that is designed, that is being undermined in that sense, because incumbency, we all know, matters. If anybody tells me incumbency doesn't matter, you are not kidding me. You are kidding yourself. The fact of the matter is, anywhere in the world, when somebody is serving for almost like that number of years, they have the influence, they have built their base, and they have built their financial base, to actually take advantage of that against their opponents. So, in other words, what we're saying is that the playing field that the coalition is trying to put with these 3 years would be undermined if Barrow passed this 3 years. So right now, according to what you said, Chess, is that is it means that not only the moral obligation that will be judging Barrow for when he wants to come back, but it's also that the effort of the whole entire coalition, only one half has been met to remove Jammeh. But the fact that the playing field for other political party, we fail in that. Would you agree to that?
I don't understand your question again. You said whether
one thing has been achieved. That's the fact that the coalition achieved one agenda, which is to remove Barrow.
Jammeh.
Jammeh.
Yeah.
That one is achieved. Now the other half, which is to set a playing field for other political parties to comfortably compete, that will not be achieved if Barrow continues to 5 years and decide to come back, because he will be an incumbent and he will have the resources and the base and an advantage. Yeah. Would you agree to that?
Upon all the politicians. Yeah, for me, that's that's the whole idea of the coalition. It's not only about removing Jammeh here. Yes, that was the key. Because we feel like that this is a person who has entrenched himself, and we believe that only one single political party could have not removed him. So, but the idea is what is behind the whole coalition is more than just removing Barrow here, but in the level political ground is very important in this country, because people were not voting based on informed choice, and it's not because they want to, but because of the intimidation and that of the power of vested in the incumbency. We see them using it. You could have seen, Jammeh. It is against our constitution to use state resources when you are doing campaign, but we have seen it here in Jammeh. Even Barrow presently have been doing it here. You could see the rallies in Brikama. You could see the state resources, the militaries, the police officers. Even we have seen so many things. We could see Dusano giving even T-shirts to police officers. All those things are happening here. We see Barrow giving an individual $5 million because we had it there. Sekou Barrow said, because why Sekou Barrow has an influence in Basse, because he have people that are behind him. They are this Barrow Kunda movement, and he thinks that, having Sekou Barrow could have convinced other people to vote for him, and one individual. So these are the things that the incumbency will use, so that he will have that. And this is the problem. Then that means Gambians are not voting based on informed choice, based on programs and policies. And, the incumbency will control the state media, and the state media should be open to all politicians. We have just seen recently, Mama Kande has a program in Basse, and there's this GRTS reporter who reported the matter. And they said, why should he report it? The commission governor said that, according to information he have, any news before it will be published, it has to pass through him, and they will, censor it, the information before it go out. And that boy has to be transferred immediately to be moved from Basse or Bissau. So you look at that, the state control all those things, and these are national TVs that should be open to all political parties to inform the citizens and to talk to the people, to understand, and so that they will have an informed choice and which political party I will vote, or which political party convince me based on their programs and policies. So the whole idea of level political ground will be deviated. We will not have that, and if Barrow continues and contests in the next election, so we will only achieve that. We remove Jammeh here. But even at the institution, because the 3 years we could have the new constitution, we could have so many things, but all these things are not achieved. The level political field will be there, the economic will be stable. These are whole plans of the coalition. But if you have to percentage what have been achieved, the 3 years is almost next 4 months or 5 months to come, we have the 3 years. So, but if you have to evaluate and come with percentage, you will find out that actually the 3 years, we didn't achieve even 25% of the agenda of the coalition. So, which is a failure to the coalition. And who has it is the president. And, there are so many things that could have not been the president appointing and sacking people on their will. All these things were the agendas of the coalition. That anything that has to be done should be a consultative process, whereby you consult people, so that we have a democratic way of government, not one individual just deciding on behalf of 1.2 million people or 1.199 million people. But this has to be based on consultation. That why do you sack this person? You must give us the reason, but you cannot just say, I just sack. Give us the reason, and we will evaluate whether the reason convince or can lead to somebody lose his job. This is the democratic principle. And if you have to appoint person, it has to be a consultation. We look at his records, but not because you have to appoint somebody because you are related to the person or, you have a connection. So all those things are the agendas of the coalition. But have we achieved that? So if you have to look at the whole thing, it's only one thing that we achieve or a few things, when we have bulk of things that we could have achieved within the 3 years. Yeah. So for me, it's a failure.
Coalition is a failure. And we are back to square one. Yeah. So for our viewers, you heard what Kes said about that, and it is you can't really denounce that, because this position that we're in, once this 3 years is passed, then it means that we are back to square one, and nobody can stop anyone from contesting. There won't be any playing field for all parties, and the incumbency matters. Again, Barrow has the legal right to that back him up for 5 years, and of course the 3 years judge now also have the legal right, constitutional rights to protest peacefully according to the law, and then giving permits. So that is our analysis on that. We're gonna finally move to our last agenda, because we've been in for almost coming to 2 hours. which is the agricultural sector. Just you are on the ground in the Gambia. So right now we have a very big problem when it comes to agriculture. We have seen, is a lot of potential for Gambia to, to be able to create the kind of agriculture that is needed to feed our people. We are blessed with River Gambia, which is like half of the river has fresh water. I used to be in Armitage High School, and then all those places from, I believe, from Dallas going towards Patolo, it's all, sorry, it's all fresh water. I remember Jahal Pachar when we used to have I don't know if it's when we used to have Jahal Pachar during Jawara's days. Um, there used to be a lot of like irrigation there, rice fields. Even in Georgetown, when I was there, there used to be a lot of rice field. Pumps that were established by the Chinese that used to, like supply water. There was a lot of potentials, but and during the days back when I was in Badibu, we used to have the potential to cultivate a lot of groundnuts and couscous, millet, and stuff like that. But if you look at the way the Gambia is going now when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to rainy season, which has to also based on the deforestation, we are very much tight, and then people are not even encouraged to focus on farming. I was watching one Adi Fasala's program on with Dr. Cisse about what can we do to help the farmers. How can we empower them so that they can cultivate. They will be encouraged to do the cultivate, give them the tools that the government can do. We are very much lacking when it comes to all sector of agriculture. The fertilizers are not there to help the farmers cultivate the kind of crops that they needed. Everybody have moved. There have been a shift in movement from the rural areas to the urban areas, thinking that coming to the combos will solve the problem. While combo becomes so crowded, now everybody's looking for housing and deforestation. People are cutting trees. To build real estate agencies. I went to Brikama and other places. Um, when I was looking for land, and then it looks like real estate agencies are just clearing the whole Combo area. Before, Combo used to have a lot of rain because of the forest, the nature of the area. But now all these timbers have been gone and they haven't been replaced. We are cutting our trees and we are not replacing them. If you look at the Western world, every like short distance there is a rule and regulation that the trees has to be planted there. There's a reason for that. It's not that like the government does that or the city does that just because of luxury. They are doing that to be able to create help, because trees help water. If you want rainy season, the trees help make they make rainy season come true. Yeah, if you study about environment, you will know what I'm talking about. So Gambia is like, we are using timbers, we are cutting our trees, but we are not replacing them. If we had, the National Assembly has put in laws that will make it difficult for people to just cut the trees without replacement, then that would probably help the situation. But it's like no regulation in place, and then people everybody want to own a home, which is not a problem. It's also part of development, but on the other side, we're having side effects. So this has also a setback. This has also some drawback on our agriculture. But if you don't have rain, we will not be able to plant. And then Gambia has a raining and dry season. Other countries like US, you have rain throughout the year. So we need to think about along that line. What can we do to make sure that we increase our chance of rain? And secondly, let's use our river. Let's use our river. Let's spend our resources on those things to create irrigation all the way to Kiang and other places. There are pipelines that can be built from from the one end of the country to another. These are all investments that could create people to farm all around the year. If you don't have all the rains that is needed, but at least create something. You have a river that is moving. I mean, God gifted, from Futajalon Island, the water is there, for us to use. Why not take advantage of that? What is your take on agriculture? Since
Yeah,
you definitely on the ground in the Gambia, so you probably have more knowledge.
yeah. For me, my position is very clear when it comes to agriculture. Uh, uh, from Jawara to Jamme, to Baro, we all agree on this. All government agree on it. The backbone of this country is agriculture. This is from Jawara to Jamme. This is what they have been saying to Baro. The backbone of this country is agriculture. But you then tend to ask the question, how much is government investing in agriculture? If you claim that this is the backbone of the country, and if government invests in agriculture, how many percentage of our population will be working? You look at the unemployment rate of this country. Agriculture can create an employment of 68% of the population, when service can only provide 22%. That is the factories and these other things. But agriculture can employ 68% of the population. But how much is government concentrating on this area so that we could because developing agriculture will not only develop the agriculture, but it will deal with even the unemployment rate of this country. But you look at it, how much are we investing in importing rice to this country, and how many metric tons do we import? Statistics tell us that Gambia every year we consume 200,000 metric tons of rice.
Wow.
That's what we import every year. So you look at 200,000 metric tons of rice. How much money do we put into that so that we can have that money, like the clearance at the port, and how government, how much do they invest so that that rice will be in this country? $2 million. That's what government put so that we will have that 2,000 metric tons of rice in this country. When we have a fresh water in Jakal Pachar, Makati, you look at it, government could have invest in that, create irrigation whereby we'll have continuous cultivation, and we could have even produce more than the 200,000 metric ton that we need. And if we do that, how much are we putting? That $2 million that we are putting, to bring those rice here will be in the national coffers. So which means every year we are putting $2 million, or we are saving the state $2 million, to our budgets.
Wow.
So government has to concentrate on this, and it's possible. Statistics show us that we have in China, where we are going baking rice, we have more fertile soil when it comes to cultivation of agriculture. People who study soil, they tell us we have more fertile soil when it comes to growing of rice. We can grow more than China and Taiwan. Study has revealed that. So if that is the case, what is the direction of the government? And you look at the budget that is approved by the government, and you compare it to the budget approved by the Office of the President or approved by the Ministry of Defense. You compare them. You know that automatically from Jamme to Jawara to Baro, these people are not serious about agriculture. Because if you compare the budget that they approve, and you compare it to other ministries, you definitely know that, they are not ready for agriculture. But if they are ready for agriculture, they would have invest more money in agriculture so that we can feed ourselves. Jamme told us here when he was here. He said, in 2019, in Operation Feed the Nation, when actually this country needs 2,000 metric tons of rice. But how much did he try to, when he invest all our money there, Operation Feed, we were able to only produce 56 tons of rice when we need 2,000 metric tons of rice, because they are not serious about it. They just say, just saying, to camouflage the situation. If you have to produce 2,000 metric tons and you end up having 56 metric tons of rice, then that means you are not serious. But we could have used Jakali Pachar, continuous cultivation. There will be no stop, because the water is coming directly from the sea. So either rain season or no rain season, the cultivation will continue. And this can be happen. States are taking loans, invested in issues that are not interested. Why can't they take that loans and put it in the agriculture, develop the agricultural sector so that we can feed ourselves and employ that 58% of the population? So for me, the potential is there, the land is there, the river, the fresh water is there. It's just that the policies and the programs of the government, to eradicate the poverty of this country, they don't have the solution to it. You go back, to the even people who are doing the business. Are they being encouraged? You look at that. No, that's why everybody is now abandoning the agricultural sector. Before, people, our grandfathers, only invest in agriculture and they pay our school fees in agriculture.
Yeah, I
It
remember
was
that.
paying dividend. Yeah, my father will have 20 donkeys, how they call it, and that's where he paid my school fees when I was in Armitage. So I will come during the holidays. I help him in the farm, and I go to Armitage. So sometimes even when I'm going to Armitage, I go with maybe half bag of groundnut, and on the way I sell it so that I pocket money.
So wait a minute. This is a Armitage discussion we're making here, because I also went to Armitage, and
Yeah, I was in
and I
Armitage
have
2003.
2003, and I have the same experience like you. I used to actually farm for my school fees. I used to
Sure.
go to Baribu and then do the cultivation, and then from that, after the end, that's where they pay my school fees and my brother's school fees.
Yeah, so but you look at it, how now government is investing in that area. I could see here before last year, people, farmers were complaining their groundnut are not being bought by the government. Others has to go into Senegal and sell their groundnut, to the price that they, know that it doesn't worth, their groundnut. But, they have no option, because keeping them, there's no storage facility. It will end up being destroyed by termites and other insects that, attack the groundnut, so they don't have the materials to protect their groundnuts. They don't have the storage facility, so they rather go and sell it at a price very low, just to have something, so that they can at least have something for the fruit of their labor. But what is government doing? What is GDC doing? Now GDC is always collapsing. They are not buying no more groundnut. Last year I could remember they could only manage to buy, I don't know, 1,000 tons of groundnut, when actually the produce, when you look at how much was produced, is more than 1,000 tons. The state is not even buying. How much are they giving them when it comes to fertilizer, so that they will encourage them to farm, and seed money, machines, even giving them loans? This would be the responsibility of the government to go to their farms and buy their products, create the market for them, make them to sell it. That will give an encouragement to the farmers to cultivate. But how much is the government doing when it comes to, promoting or encouraging the farmers? You look at that, government is doing zero in that aspect. How much are they approving budget for agriculture? Zero. I could remember during our time, you can see this extension agriculturalists, they will come to the village, advise people how to farm, which time should you plant your seed, which time is the rainy season starting, because they will study the forecast and tell you, so that you will not plant earlier, because Gambian people just rely on, yes, rainy season start here May or June, so they just go and cultivate without even seeing the signs. But climate change, and you see the seasons change. So this is the responsibility of the government to advise them based on the forecast of the country. But who is doing that now? So that's why, this year you see people, they have planted their seeds, they put it there. There was no rainy season, insects eat their seeds in the ground, and they didn't have another seed, to cultivate, and they end up not cultivating this year. I studied and I went a tour and I investigated this issue, and because of government failed to advise them through the weather forecast to tell them that this year the rainy season will delay for this minimum time. So if you have to cultivate, you have to start sowing your seeds at this period of time. These are all, areas of agriculture. But what are we doing in that area? You tend to ask, what is government advising? What is the work of the extension workers? What are they doing? What advice are they giving to these people? So the whole sector of agriculture is failed. And unless we take a new dimension in this area, we will always have this. They will always tell us that agriculture is the backbone of the country. But how much is government investing in that area? You go to Serekunda market, you see these women, they will be in the market carrying their tomatoes, their seed, their vegetables, 5 a.m. in the morning. Just a small quantity of pepper or cucumber or carrot, just a plate, that doesn't even cost $100. They should not come. Those people with those small quantities, they should not come to the market. That should be the responsibility of the government to go and meet them in their farms, buy all those things, and create what they call this thing, what they call them, I forget this thing. They create market for them and have retail resellers that the government will come and give it to the retail people, and they look at things that can be exported to bring foreign exchange, and export those things and bring foreign exchange back to the country. And they will encourage those people, because they know that whatever I contribute, government will come and buy it from me and create the market for me and sell it. So they will be encouraged to cultivate more, and will give support to the agriculture. But how much is government contributing to that area? You look at that, they are not. You see them in the market, they will spend the whole day in the market, and they will go up to a scenario whereby they know that if I don't sell this, I don't have the storage. So they either decide to sell it at a lower price, so that they will just get rid of their vegetables and go home and go and cook lunch for their families. So at the end of the day, they are just working from hand to mouth, but they are not making to make profit, so that they can upgrade their cultivation. Government is not contributing anything. How much is going? You could have even create cooperative bank whereby you give farmers loans. You give them, you encourage them, give them loans so that they contribute, and they will be paying it, in bit by bit through their profits, and they will expand, and this will create employment. But government is not investing in all these areas. So for me, agriculture is just an illusion, say that is the backbone of our country. But government is not doing anything, to make it a reality for us to feed ourselves. And we could have feed ourselves. I'm 100% sure of that. We could, if government concentrate on this area. But they are not doing that. You look at even the budget, it reflects that government is not serious about agriculture. You look at what are the encouragement given to the agricultural sector? Is zero. What encouragement is given by to the farmers? Is zero. You go to Serekunda market, you look at where is the market where they are selling their fruit. There's no market. But you can see a Gambian, a foreigner who is at Kartong, they go to Kartong and this Bonto, they will open a garden of 500 meters by 500, and they will have continuous cultivation. I went to this farm and I sat with the people that are working there. I said, how much is this man making from this garden? They told me that this man produced more than billions in this garden. So I said, these humans that are working here, how much are they paid at the end of the day? They said every day they pay them $50 a day. But they will come and work for this man and cultivate whatever they, at the end of the day, man will harvest and send it outside the country and have foreign exchange and save that money in his country. But he will use the power of our people, to cultivate, and they pay them pittance. But that man will make millions out of that. Our people are just paying $2,000 at end of the month, working for somebody, a foreigner, to make millions out of our resources, out of our country. When government could have invested in those areas and give loans to the humans and buy that garden and fence it, provide water there and everything, and said, now, every woman who is having a garden here will pay the state every month $50 or $100 or $200, and state will have resources from there. And at the end of the harvest season, the government will come to their garden, buy all those produce, create the market, create the storage, export them, bring foreign exchange back to this country. So, but they are not doing that. But you go to Bonto, ask the man who is there, how much millions he's made out of there. In the expression of Gambian people, you didn't see any foreigner working there. It's the Gambian women who are suffering every day and night. 8 a.m. you must be in the garden. You close at 4 a.m. A day you are paid $50 or $100 or $75.
Wow.
So this is a problem when government could have invested in that. When you are taking the Kairaba at the traffic light, going to turntable, there's a garden around the turntable. That person has a garden there every year, continuous cultivation, cassava, mango, potatoes. He's doing that, and it's privately owned. State could invest in those things. You'll have continuous, we'll have fresh, everything will be fresh every year. You just from the garden. If an individual is doing that, what about a state? So, but what are we doing? The state is not concentrating on agriculture. So for me, agriculture is, the government is not serious about agriculture. And unless we face the reality and know that this is the backbone of our country, and this is what can, remove us from begging rice that we could have produced here, using $2 million to furnish the rice, 2,000 metric tons, to every year imported. And we don't have even machines to examine those rice, whether they are qualified to be consumed by us. No. That's why you heard of this plastic rice. You come with, you see a rice that is red, you cook a rice, because there's no machine that will examine. You don't know how they produce it, how they are produced, because we don't have the technology to examine those things.
Actually, there are some rice that have stones even. When I was there, I mean, we had to try different rice. Because some of them, if you bite, if you chew the rice, you get stones cracking in your mouth. I really hate those things. This is all because all these foreign lands been exported. They are just junk rice, from the wherever they are coming from, and then probably been thrown at us as third world country, and are feeding our people with stuff that we don't even know, and then this is this is also contributing to the health problem that we have, and all this diabetes and all this high blood and so forth, because these rice are very sugary. They have a lot of sugar in them, and then people are consuming that. When I was little, I remember I used to go and nkada kunu kantola rice field. I used to watch out for birds eating our rice. I did a lot of that in Badibuswale Kunda. Now, those times, baramano, if you eat that, it fills you up. It's natural. There's nothing to do with rice and sand. What happened to that? Those lands are still there, and we feed off those at a capacity when technology was not even there. So I think we are kidding ourselves. the Gambia has the lands and the potential. It's a matter of, like you said, sustainability, government investing in helping, in those areas for people to produce and eat. Sow what you eat, eat what you sow. So this will bring a lot of health, a lot of potential in our people, and also save us a lot of money. Because imagine if all those rice fields are being cultivated, like you said, with the irrigation from Jahali Pacha, that could be extended across the country. There are some technology that, like you can even have pipelines built all the way from those areas to other part of the Kiang and other part of the, the country. Why are we not talking about? Why are we not using our brains and invest in technologies that will give us food is number one problem in the Gambia right now. The food is things are very expensive. Even you go, we're not even talking about fishery today because the topic will be diverted. But even you go, you buy a bulk of, you go from Duka at the market. What do you buy? What do you spend? You give somebody $300. It cannot even feed a family of 4. I was there every day. My sister tell me, like Nduga beef and Nduga. I said, yeah. Listen, it doesn't matter, even if you come from, Europe or other part of the country.
No,
Even
you
us,
can sustain it.
we feel it in our pocket. I'm like, how much you say? Nintendo Marsodo, $300 is not $300 is what the fancy lafa.
Yeah.
If you're gonna live on that on a daily basis, tell me, listen, people we are suffering. That's just the fact. You have to go there to feel it. And then we have to put focus on agriculture so we can grow these things. That way, they can, the food price will come down, and then you grow something in Badibu, the next day they are in Serekunda. So things will be easily transported, and also like there won't be a higher demand because a lot of people will be producing, and then the food shortage will go down, and people will be able to have their belly full. And once Gambians' bellies are full, they are happy. Gambians are very contented in that area. So I think we have an obligation. If you're talking about bag of rice this high, we shouldn't even be talking about it. Bag of rice should be, should be a cake. If the proper agriculture is implemented with the irrigation that we have, with all the fresh water we have, and this can even be extended to groundnuts and stuff like that. Gambia used to export groundnut before, but during
Groundnut.
GP.
Where's the groundnut oil? No, by then we used to even produce our own oil. It's called groundnut, and it's very rich, and it's have all the vitamins it requires. But now, where is it?
And I think GPMB and is it longer there, or is it even is not even is operating minimally?
It's not operating. You could have understood that one has failed. That was when they came with the economic recovery program, and they have to leave redundant all those stuffs there. They said they were trying to economic development program. When GDC has failed that year, they could have they only buy I don't know how many thousand tons of and all the money went to the debts, and they created the Maconic Commission, and all the money that they have was went to this African Commercial Bank B. I don't know, and all those things has failed. Now you go to GDC, I just see them. They are now making the fence again. They say they want to rebrand it again. They are working on it, to see how best they could have bring back the days of GPMB. So let's look at it, But the problem is you have to work on it. It's not about the structures, but you have to go back to where everything starts. That's at the farmland. What can you do to make those people so that they can produce as quality as it is, to bring it to that institution? But if you are not working on the grassroots, you just go to the surface, it's the same problem that we will be facing. But go to the farmers, ask them what is their problem and what government can do to make sure that, they produce more quality and you will buy them. That's where the work has to start. It's not about building the structures. We have the structures here, but how much does it reflect in the life of the Gambian people? Because, it's top approach rather than bottom approach. And this is affecting us.
Right. All right, it's just I know we have exhausted this topic. This is a very interesting area, and I hope our viewers are really benefiting from that, especially agriculture. We're gonna be hammering that, and we're gonna be letting our governments know, our stakeholders know that we need to bring agriculture back. We need to feed our own self. We don't need to, depend on, like, and this applies to poultry also. We don't need these
Yeah.
chickens from these chicken legs that we don't know about, importing them. Our people eating stuff left and right,
Yeah.
chicken legs that we don't. Let's try to, do all this, implement that within the country. Like, people be encouraged to do poultry, so we can eat what we can eat what we harvest on, and then also create our own livestock and so forth. So this is an area that we're gonna be really talking about more to sensitize our people. And then if anybody are into farming, kudos to you. If anybody is not into farming, know that Gambia, farming is the future. You better go and get some land and try cultivating. I know watermelon is doing wonderful work because my brother said he's doing that. And then there are other, farming things that could really bring revenue. And I know, even I was when I visit to Badibu, I heard that people, even with the mangoes, people come there, the Senegalese, they even harvest, they even cut the mangoes at the raw stage, just because they needed. This is so much in demand. Because when I was little, I used to remember when we used to sell mangoes by Kerawan tender, and then we cut mangoes when they are ripe. But now they don't even wait for that. So people go from Senegal, they come and take these mangoes at a raw stage, and then go and make them, like, leave them, for a little bit for them to get ripe. So it's a shortage of agricultural stuff, trees and all that, and the fruits and so forth. So let's focus our attention on that. That's the future of the Gambia. It is very resourceful, and then people can eat what they sow or what they harvest. So that being note, just it's been about 2 hours of conversation. I'm pretty sure some of our guys couldn't because of network issue, but you have really given us a lot of information to our viewers, and I think we need more of this on this platform. Again, it is non-partisan. We are not here. We are just discussing the issue in the context of civic education. We want everybody to know that, and then we are just discussing with our people, our viewers, so that people can be aware. Every time somebody talks, if they are genuine, there is genuine, somebody benefits from it. So you can talk in any language when it comes to this platform, and then it's non-partisan. We are not, interested in, selfish talk. We put Gambia first, so we want our viewers to know. We do it every 2 weeks. I mean, twice a month, every first and third Sunday of the month. And please join us. Anybody who has things to offer, substantial discussion, come along. You can say it in any language. We feel free, and then we just want to communicate and talk with our people. Any last
Yeah.
checks?
Yeah, I said it has, for me, it has been a very interesting conversation, and this is what we need, when we want to save the future of our country. We must engage, and we must discuss the issues that are confronting our country, and we come with a solution, because the battle of the 21st century is the battle of knowledge and ideas, and people must have ideas, to understand the realities of our country, and the government must be a government that is ready to listen to divergent views and take the best out of it. Yes, I might sit here and say nonsense, but at least I have one or two things that are important, or that if the government can pick it from me and implement it, it might be better for the country. So listen to everybody, irrespective of which political party you belong to. Listen to everybody and take the best out of what nonsense they're gonna say and implement it, because we all want a better for this country. And if that happens, government is ready to listen to all divergent views. I'm sure we will have a better Gambia. The idea is here, the knowledge is here. We have Gambians who are more competent in every areas that you look at. We have specialists in every sectors of our life. Invite them, talk to them, engage them, let them come with their ideas, let them create anything. Agriculture is huge, like we start talking here, but even fishing is part of agriculture. So there are so many things that agriculture entail, and we'll talk about it. There are experts in these areas. Invite them into the table, discuss about them. We could have do away with this juice, that foreign juice that we are importing here, because we have all the fruits that they are making with this juice. We have the mango, we can transform into mango juice. We have the lemon, we can transform into lemon juice. We have the watermelon, we can transform. But government is not investing. But why Senegalese are coming here? I went to the factory. All those mangoes they are buying here, they go there and make it a mango juice, and they make it compulsory now that all hotels must buy their local juice. So they buy it and sell it to these tourist visitors that are coming here. How many tourists are coming here? Why can't Gambia follow the same procedure? How many employment will you create if you create those companies here? We will not be talking about the unemployment. So the resources is here. It's just about the government policies and programs in regards to these issues, and the more they listen to people and invite people, take loans and invest into the agriculture, we will do away with this poverty in our country. Because unless if you want to address the poverty of the country, you must invest in agriculture, because agriculture is very wide and it can employ and it can bring foreign exchange to this country, and it can create more employment for the people, and it can empower people by financially, for them to be doing it on their own. So for me, it has been a very good program, and I think it will continue. If I may say anything that is wrong here, that's human. I'm not perfect, but if I say anything that is beneficiary, that's nature or God-given idea to me. And I thank each and everybody who took their time, listening to us for 2 hours. We are grateful.
Thank you, and same thing applies here. If we say something that really offend anybody, we don't mean to. It's a national cause for us to do this and share information and bring people and discuss issues. We do it every twice a month. It's essential to look forward. First Sunday and then the third Sunday around 11, about 3 o'clock, 3 to 4 Gambian time, and then Eastern time about 11 o'clock. So I thank you, Chess, for wonderful showdown today. I mean, this is what we need, all the young folks and old folks, everybody at any despite race or national origin or tribe or whatever. We need everybody to come and we have honest debates about our national issues in regards to civic education. It's about empowering our people to make conscious decisions. Join us on Facebook. On Facebook, we have our Facebook link. We're gonna send it out, and you can join us and then follow New Gambia platform. We'll have more of this. Check. We look forward to do more of this in the near future.
Thank you very much.
Thank
grateful.
you. Thank you for your contribution. All right. Have a good one. Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.